Storm has been issued for parts of Faulkner, Lonoke, and Pulaski County. That's until 5:45, moving towards the south and east right now at about 35 miles per hour. Here's the latest information. Let's go ahead and put a full picture of that radar right now. A severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was actually located near Olmsted, near the Little Rock Air Force Base, currently moving towards the south and east, as I mentioned. So here is what we're going to do. I'm going to try to switch over to live winds mode. This has been a little bit difficult to kind of track to see, just because we're already seeing some pretty gusty winds within the storms itself. So that rotation was a little bit hard to be picked up. So I'm going to switch over back to live winds mode. And again, it's very difficult to see those bright hues, to see those shades of green. Those are pretty strong wind gusts just in general. So to find this, where that rotation is within the storm, has been a little bit difficult. But they did say it was near the community of let's say Olmsted, near the community of Cato as well. Cato, excuse me. So what I'm going to try to do is switch back over to live radar and put a track on this storm. I'm gonna go ahead and take off the lightning there, but we did have a better picture of where some of that rotation could be looking at your Storm Track 11. So if we can go ahead and switch over to our Storm Track 11, it shows us a little bit better idea where that rotation might be located. So let me know when you guys are able to switch on over to our Storm Track 11 so we can go ahead and show the folks where that rotation may be. In the meantime, we'll try to put a track on this storm, our Storm Track 11, please, our weather computer. If we're able to switch on over to our Storm Track 11. If not, we can go ahead and switch back to Weather 1, please. Go ahead and switch back to Weather 1, please. So we can go ahead and show the folks where the tornado is being tracked at the moment. I'm going to go ahead and put a track. Again, this storm is moving towards the south and east at about 35 miles per hour. If we can go ahead and switch over to a different computer, please, so we can go ahead and pull up that image. This is not the right image that we're seeing right now. I'll go ahead and move it on over, though, so we can show the folks where that warning is centered at the moment. Thank you. So there was a little bit of some of that. This is our Storm Track 11 tool, and we like to use that to kind of help us have a better visual of what's going on, where we sometimes may not be able to see that on our radar. So there was a little bit of some rotation. You can kind of see that right here being indicated just to the east of Mayflower. This was a few minutes ago, and then the history of that continued to track just to the north of Cato there. And then now that does seem like the strength of that circulation is not nearly as prominent, but it's been very difficult to track this storm just because it's already within a pretty gusty wall of winds within the storm itself. So I'm going to go back and put a track on this storm, and I'm going to go ahead and move it towards the south and east here. Put that in real quick. Meteorologist Nathan Scott is in here with me joining as well. Nathan, I know it's not something we were expecting in terms of having that tornado warning. We've been tracking lots of hail within this system. If we can go ahead and switch back to Weather 1 or Max 1, please. Thank you. This is what we're seeing right now. Tornado warning in effect until 5:45. So Nathan, he's going to go ahead and take over the radar. If you're able to, try to put a track on where that storm is being, kind of the center of that storm and where it's moving, so we can have a better idea of where it's going. Again, it's been very difficult to track where that center of that circulation was, but we did see some possible rotation earlier. So Nathan is going to go ahead and try to put a track on this storm.
I'm just going to go back and look at the data here, Corallys, because it was a possibly very quick spin up. This is a supercell thunderstorm. The main concerns today and this evening are for these storms to blow up well into the atmosphere and produce some very large hail. That certainly has been the case. We've been getting reports of hail the size of tennis balls to baseballs in Stone County. But anytime you have a supercell, you just got to watch out for that potential that there could be a quick spin up. Even though the ingredients are not in favor of these storms to produce a tornado, you can never rule it out when you're dealing with a supercell thunderstorm. So it was pretty close to Cato, and I'm going to go ahead and put a track on here. We'll go from Cato just between Gibson and Macon. If there is still something there, it's going to continue to progress its way down towards Kerr. If it holds together, maybe towards Pettis. So that part of Pulaski County getting into eastern parts of Lono County, just make sure that you go ahead, be smart, get to your safe place just in case there's a spin up. We have not gotten anything confirmed at this time, Corallys, but this is just not the only threat we're dealing with this storm. This is widespread winds of 60 to as much as 70 miles per hour now making its way through the metro. So even though you may not see a tornado, it really doesn't matter, because when you have a wall of wind like this making its way through, it's going to bring down tree limbs. It's going to bring down tree branches and cause power outages. But as we take a look, here's what we're watching. We've got this area that has been showing the green. That's where the highest winds are.
We saw reports up to at least 80 miles per hour when you're probably making your way on in. Winds right here were as high as 80 mile per hour wind gusts. So yeah, that's why it's kind of difficult, as I mentioned earlier, to see whether or not there's some rotation going on with this storm, because it seemed like it happened pretty quick, which looking at our storm track 11, it already kind of disappeared when I was going through the last few scans. Right now, I do think the major concern with this storm will be that wall of wind, as Nathan was mentioning.
Yeah, let's go back over to Storm Track 11 just to pinpoint exactly when the National Weather Service triggered that tornado warning. Look how it changed from really nothing to all of a sudden the rotation really picked up on where you see this purple triangle. And that's when the National Weather Service was like, okay, we're going to play it safe just in case. Let's go ahead and issue that tornado warning. Once again, nothing has been confirmed. And looking at the latest scan, you see it would bounce just to the north of Cato, and here's the latest scan, and it's disappeared. So with that said, there could still be a brief touchdown somewhere north of Jacksonville, north of Gravel Ridge, but I'm not seeing it at this time. Nonetheless, once again, we're still seeing a wall of wind. These are winds now, because the radar is right there where you see that empty area or the donut. We're getting winds of easily 50 to as high as 60 miles per hour, making their way through Sullivan Hills, Gravel Ridge, and headed towards Jacksonville, Sherwood, and into eastern parts of Pulaski County. We can go ahead and take a look at our view 11 looking south. The rain is moving in right now from North Little Rock into Little Rock, and the winds are starting to pick up. So we're starting to get that gust front make its way in here to Little Rock at this time. So we have some very gusty winds moving in, but we're not looking at a big tornado threat. I think it's really just a wall of wind that can still bring down some tree limbs and certainly cause some minor structural damage. You see I
can hear the rain just pouring down nearby.
Is that rain or is that dust now making its way through?
I'm seeing the rain, and also I can hear like the gusty winds outside of the studio right now.
Yeah, so this is a very impressive storm.
Yes.
Okay, they have dropped the tornado warning, no surprise, because we're not seeing the rotation anymore. With that said, though, we still need to stay weather aware as this band makes its way through. Let's go back over to Max. And this band of storms has a lot of lightning crowds. So we've got tons of lightning, cloud to ground lightning, and then we've got a destructive severe thunderstorm warning issued for the metro.
If you can go ahead and just show the warnings box so we can kind of highlight what that box means. Again, there's no tornado warning, which is great, but we're going to kind of stay on here for just a little bit. This right here has the tag of destructive for a severe thunderstorm warning, meaning we could be not only seeing pretty gusty winds, but even some large hail is possible with some of this. But I do think this is mainly due to the fact of the really gusty winds, as Nathan mentioned earlier, 60 up to 80 mile per hour wind gusts, which I did hint at the top of the show that we saw gusts as high as 80 miles per hour being indicated on that radar. So this was a really tricky situation. It was really hard to really pinpoint where that rotation is. Fortunately, no tornado warning at the moment, but we just are hanging on to this severe thunderstorm warning for at least the next 15 minutes. It sounds like hail is coming down here. If Nathan, I think Nathan is stepping out.
Gonna open the door. Hopefully I don't regret it.
Yes.
Lots of wind.
Lots of wind. You can probably hear it right now on my microphone. and it's very dark out there right now. So that's what we're seeing right now in the metro. So hopefully everybody's already headed indoors. It's already starting to get a little bit ominous out there, but you can kind of see some of the wind gusts, 50, 60 miles per hour. The core of that right over near Shorewood, where we're seeing up to possibly even ping pong size hail being
Definitely
reported.
more of a wind event, though.
I do think so too, in this case, just north of Shorewood to the west of Jacksonville. There, even a little bit of a hail core near just to the west of Ward and Beebe. So of course, if you guys are seeing anything when it is safe to do so, you can always send us those reports at 501-376-1111. So fortunately, no tornado warning at the moment. We are going to stay on for at least the next few minutes to continue on for the rest of the weather updates. Nathan, if you can see the next slide on there, we are still under a severe thunderstorm watch into the rest of the evening that we have going on until 10 o'clock. So we do have a graphic for that, and it's not statewide. It's mainly focused across parts of central and the northern portions of the state, including here in Pulaski County. Thank you. We're going to continue just the forecast here. I might be stepping off just a little bit. Again, this is until 10 o'clock for all those areas highlighted in pink. Not right now, not really much of a concern across southern portions. I do think that the strength of these storms should die down as they continue to move across towards the south and into the overnight hours. So breaking down the severe storm outlook, this is something I really want to highlight. Even though we have severe thunderstorm watches, does not rule out the threat for anything tornadic. I feel like it's deja vu because the past 2 weekends we've had the threat for severe weather. Last weekend I mentioned that we did see a tornado warned storm that was in an area that had no threat or expectations for tornado. So that's why you always want to take every storm serious, whether or not it's a severe thunderstorm warning or even just a strong storm. Hail up to tennis ball size is going to be the main concern. We've already seen reports of up to baseball size hail with some of these storms. I'm hearing that loud thunder here in the studio. And of course, winds, some pretty gusty winds from 70 to 80 miles per hour are definitely possible. Here's another repeat of the photo that I shared earlier in the show. If we can, Nathan, I do have more information. I want to switch on over to another graphic that shows more of what the forecast is going to be looking like for us. I'll go ahead and switch that on over. I'm going to show you guys some more hail photos that we saw. Of course, just keep setting them in when it is safe to do so. This was over in Mountain View. In this particular area, we saw reports of up to baseball size hail. So thank you to Wesley Garrett for submitting that photo. And it did leave quite a bit of some damage to vehicles there. And that's going to be the case, unfortunately, with a lot of these storms. So hopefully everybody was staying safe there. So I'm going to go ahead and share this graphic. If you do have any reports, send them in at 501-376-1111. I'm going to cycle through this forecast for you guys and show you what future clouds and radar is looking like for us for the rest of the evening before we kind of take it back towards regular programming. So this is what we're expecting to see. This pretty much complex of storms. So you can kind of see has that little bowing feature. Those are good indications where we see those straight line damaging winds. That's going to continue to trek towards the south. This is around 6 o'clock. We're seeing that complex right over us right now. I do think this is a little bit ahead of schedule on the radar, but this is going to continue to move through into the evening hours across southern portions of the state, likely bringing more of the destructive winds with that as well. So tonight, again, this watch is in effect until 10 o'clock. And you can kind of see the northern half of the state is staying pretty quiet from then on out, but the southern half could possibly continue to hold on to the threat of some spotty showers and storms even into the overnight hours. This is a look at your Monday morning. Another complex could continue to kind of linger across the region. There's a very slow moving cold front pushing on through. By the time we get towards Monday, it's going to help with those temperatures not being nearly as hot, but fortunately looking a lot better by the time we get towards a Monday with some sunshine. This rain could hold on into the early morning hours across southern portions, but the rest of our Monday is looking good for us. So this is how hot we were. I know the main focus has been with the strong storms, which they're rolling on through in the metro right now. We reached 99 degrees, the hottest day so far of the season here in the metro. Other locations were in the upper 90s, even as far as northwest Arkansas. On top of that, heat index values were exceeding 110 degrees, still pretty warm right now, but you can see as the storm struck across, temperatures are cooling down into the 70s, still sitting in the 90s here, and still seeing triple-digit heat index values to our south, which eventually they will be cooling down once we see those storms roll on through. these next few days, not nearly as hot, still above average because that cold front bringing down those temperatures and the dew points. But once we get towards later next week, triple-digit highs are possible heading into your Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday as well. We'll likely see more heat advisories in effect later next week from Wednesday to even parts of the weekend as well. So tonight we're going to be continuing to track those showers and storms. Fortunately, this is the only risk for severe weather that we are expecting to have for the upcoming week. Nathan?
Corrals, these are wild storms. We're getting a lot of pictures and video coming in from Conway, large tree branches down on some homes, on some vehicles. You know, you get winds of 60 to 80 miles per hour, and this is the result. Also, according to Power Outage US, the website, there are over 9,500 customers without power in Faulkner County, about 1,300 customers without power in Perry County, about 1,800 customers without power in Conway County, Polk County. Over 5,000 customers are without power, and more than likely we're going to see power being lost here in Pulaski County and Lonoke County as these nasty storms continue to charge their way down to the south and southeast. We've got those severe thunderstorm warnings in effect. There's still the potential there could be a brief spin-up tornado within this storm, according to the National Weather Service. So it may go tornado warning once again, and if that does happen, we'll continue to interrupt programming. But we're seeing lots of video, lots of pictures. Thank you for sending these pictures in our direction. You can post that on our THV11 Facebook page, direct message, or 501-376-1111. Please certainly stay safe out there, stay alert. This is not going to stick around very long, but once those storms make their way into your neighborhood, they mean business, Corrals.
Yeah, that's right. And here's what I think we should do. I don't know if any of our producers can still hear us from back there. We still have a few minutes left for technically the rest of our show. We have no active tornado warnings at the moment. I still think we should just hold on to just continuing with our weather reports for the next 6 to 7 minutes, and then just kind of wrap things up from there. So Nathan, if we can go ahead, and we're just going to do a quick recap of what's going to be happening right now and into the rest of tonight as well. Again, if you're just joining us, we had a tornado warning about 15 minutes, 20 minutes ago. That's not the case right now, but we are still dealing with some pretty destructive thunderstorms moving across the metro at this moment. This is a look at our Storm Track 11, kind of showing you the intense winds from that storm as it pushes on through. Winds were gusting in excess of 60, maybe up to 80 miles per hour. And what we can do right now, let's go ahead and switch right back to our Weather 1, or Max 1 computer, so we can continue to analyze some of these storms as well. Here's another look at those live winds. Again, seeing those intense shades of yellow, it's actually, I believe, moving towards outside the metro. So it's moving away from us now towards the south and east. But here's a better look at how some of the winds are right now. 68 mile per hour, 56, 49. So yeah, roughly anywhere from 50 to up to 70 mile per hour winds are just moving across the region, going to be right at your doorstep in communities like Scott and Wrightsville, Sweet Home as well. So this is going to be the case for at least the next half hour or so for this particular storm as it treks across the metro.
Yeah, Corrals, we are seeing the nasty line of winds. Severe thunderstorm warning is for winds of 58 miles per hour or greater. We're certainly reaching that threshold when we take a look at the live velocity or live winds within the storm right now. We're getting winds, according to radar, of approaching 70 miles per hour. So that is bringing down some large tree limbs. It can certainly uproot some weak trees and cause some minor structural damage to maybe some roofs or something of that nature. So these storms are nothing to mess around with as they continue to charge their way down to the south and southeast. We've got a report from Cabot. A 76 mile per hour wind was measured in Cabot. So this is just a wind machine moving through Pulaski County, Lonoke County right now, and that's why we have that destructive severe thunderstorm warning in effect. Severe thunderstorm warnings are categorized as a basic severe thunderstorm warning, a severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible tag, and let me just go ahead and show you here with the difference in what we're talking about. There you see at the top of your screen, it goes likely, tornado possible, considerable, but we are in the destructive severe thunderstorm warning range. And this is a nasty storm moving right through the heart of the metro at this time. It's going to be scary. I don't doubt that, because you get those winds and it's just a rush of wind that makes its way through your neighborhood, and those trees will be bending, they're dancing quite a bit. And like I said, some of them might lose some tree limbs, or some trees could come crashing down. So if you're watching us in this part of Pulaski County, that does include Little Rock, downtown Little Rock, off to the east, Lonoke, and now moving into Prairie County, and also even into, I would say, Jefferson County and Arkansas County, because our atmosphere is very, very ripe for these storms to continue to maintain their strength or even strengthen. It was hot today. We had temperatures warm up to the mid to upper 90s, lots of humidity, lots of juice for these storms to feed off of, and that is certainly what's happening. And the strongest storm that I'm seeing here on radar at this time for the THV11 viewing area is right over the metro, and it is packed with a lot of lightning. You do not want to be outside when this storm rolls in. So if you're seeing darkening skies, England, Lonoke, get inside right now, because this storm is racing its way off to the south and southeast, about 35 to 40 miles per hour, and you will know it when it reaches your neighborhood. Also, the sky probably looks pretty ominous. Dark clouds and most likely maybe a greenish tint to the sky, because these storms did produce some large size hail earlier. Let's take a look at the hail, see if there's any other hail happening. Looks like, according to our Hail Now tool, there could still be some hail of quarter to ping pong ball size, very close to Jacksonville, where you're seeing those oranges show up right along Highway 167, Highway 440, moving over Interstate 40 at this time. So this storm has a lot of lightning, does have the potential for producing some large hail, but the main threat is a line of some very high winds. Now moving through Sweet Home, Scott, about to move into Wrightsville, Rocktaken, Keogh, Blakemore, Pettis. Get ready. It's time to batten down the hatches. You've got some nasty winds headed in your direction very shortly.
Yeah, that's right, Nathan. So what we're going to do right now, we are at the end of our regular programming. We're going to just do one quick wrap up of what we're expecting weather-wise before we send it to regular programming. If we can go ahead and if you can put me in my main show, Nathan, for those who probably have missed it earlier, just so we can do a quick recap of what's going to be going on.
But with that said, Corallys, let's go ahead and stay online. So we're going to stay on our THV11 Facebook. So if you have Facebook, we're going to stay streaming with that, and also streaming on our app, even though we will end coverage here on the television.
So if you can go ahead and switch right back to the main show for me, Nathan, I will just do a quick recap, and then we can just send things over to regular programming. I was just looking at any updates in terms of wind damage or reports. Did see some reports of possible winds up to 70 miles per hour near Burns Park there. So it's just a good idea how strong these winds are. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, we are under a severe thunderstorm watch until 10 o'clock for all counties selected in pink, including parts of north central Arkansas, southern portions of the state. Those storms could lose their strength a little bit as it continues to track through the area into the evening and overnight hours. A breakdown of what we're expecting with this is mainly large hail, which we've seen reports of up to baseball size already with some of these storms, and of course those damaging winds 70 to 80 miles per hour definitely has been reported as well. And although that tornado threat, you see there's nothing highlighted there, we did have one tornado warning storm that had a little bit some of that brief rotation there, which is why you still want to treat a severe thunderstorm warning just as serious as a tornado warning, because a lot of the times it's just one that can sneak up on us, which has been the case. So we're still going to continue to watch if anything does continue to kind of develop. So here's are some of the reports of some of that hail we've been seeing over in Newton County, almost near baseball size hail. Thank you for sending that in, of course. And the storm hazards, as I mentioned, have been just mainly the hail and the damaging winds. So Nathan, I'm not sure if you're able to switch over to our Futurecast, and so I can go ahead and wrap things up and give a better timeline of what we can expect for the rest of the night. Just give it a little bit of some time.
Was that in your show, or?
Yes.
Okay, let me just rewind it here, and we'll just do it manually.
Yes, thank you so much, sir. Sorry, we're doing things manually right here, folks. So this is how the rest of the evening, this is actually, I believe.
A little late.
Yeah, this is the her, if you can switch over
So
to.
it's a little behind.
Yeah, so this particular graphic, I was not holding on or using this one because it was a little bit behind. I was using the graph, but
Okay,
the
just
time.
1 second. Let me go ahead and
Yeah,
get to
no
the
worries.
right part of your show here.
Again, folks, this is just how things happen live for us.
It's loading. Okay,
there we go. Perfect. This is the model I wanted to use just because it was a little bit, the other one was a little bit behind. So this is roughly what we're seeing right now. Within the next hour or so, that cluster of storms will continue to track towards the south. And whenever you see that kind of bow shape to it, that's a good indication these storms could have some straight line damaging winds. So that's going to be the case as it continues towards the south. We'll still hold on to some scattered shower and storm activity here in the metro, even within the next hour or so. So moving forward to the next hour, this is going to reach the southern portions of the state, and we could begin to quiet down within the next couple of hours here across central and the northern half of the state. But I do think that the development of a few spotty showers and storms are still in the picture as we go into tonight. So although we might see a brief break in activity, we could see a little bit more of that develop, especially along a frontal boundary as it kind of pushes on through by the time we head towards our Monday. This is a look at midnight. So although this brief break is going to happen within the next couple hours, we could see another round later tonight, mainly across southern portions of the state, and making its exit by the time we get towards the early morning hours on Monday. Monday looking a lot better for us weather-wise, so we're doing good there. Fortunately, no other chances for severe weather in the upcoming week. So it was a hot one, as Nathan mentioned earlier, 99 degrees, the hottest we've been so far for the year. Many locations across the state were saw highs mid to upper 90s. No hundreds I see here on the map, but we're going to be making a run at the temperatures near 100 degrees later this week. This is a look. Nathan just opened the door right now. You can hear the rain coming down. It's pretty loud, so excuse me if I do yell a little bit. A cold front is expected to push through heading into your Monday. That's why temperatures Monday and Tuesday not nearly as hot as the upper 90s and slightly less humid. But it's going to continue to climb as a warm front approaches later next week. We'll be seeing highs near the triple digits, maybe even exceeding that, especially on your Thursday and parts of your Friday. And that could hang on into your Saturday, as well as a little bit of a mini heat wave going on for the next several days for us for the upcoming week. We'll likely see more heat advisories and possibly even excessive heat warnings being issued later next week, especially on Thursday, which I do think is going to be one of the hottest days so far for us. So a quick breakdown of that extended forecast, everything I just said. We aren't expecting much in terms of any type of active or severe weather for the upcoming week, just more of this heat that's going to be sticking around for us for quite some time. So of course, find ways to stay cool. And we're going to continue to bring you updates in regards to the severe weather this evening. We'll have another look at your forecast and what else is in store for the new week and the newscast tonight at 10. Nathan?
All right, Corallys, before we go, once again, we're going to stay live on our streaming THV11 app and also Facebook. But to make that switch, we may have to go off this feed and start a new feed. So just bear with us. There you see, download the THV11 app. And once again, we've got nasty line storms about to exit downtown Little Rock, but it's folks to the east, Lonoke County, Prairie County, you're in the line of fire with this, and the storm still means business. So that's why we're going to stay with you on THV11 app, streaming app, and also on Facebook. For now, we'll send it back to regularly scheduled programming unless there's a tornado warning. Stay safe and stay alert through the rest of the evening. Thanks for watching THV11. Okay, just let us know when we're ready to start with the THV11 streaming. Okay, all right. Good evening, everyone. I'm meteorologist Nathan Scott, meteorologist Corallys Ortiz also here because this is our regular shift. We still have that nasty line of storms. Things are starting to wind down in parts of the area, but we'll go ahead and give you a radar tour around the region at this time. So if you're ready to put Corallys up on the chroma key, just let me know. Here's the latest with the warnings. We got a regular severe thunderstorm warning issued for Saline County, Northeast Garland County, Perry County, and western parts of Pulaski County. That means that winds will be probably 58 miles per hour, maybe as high as 65 miles per hour. The cell that has been producing damage with bringing down big tree limbs and also trees continues to march its way away from Little Rock, but is still a very nasty cell, and it's all about damaging straight line winds with this Corallys, and also a lot of lightning. All those blue lightning bolts, that's only within the past 10 minutes. So
if you can actually switch over to the lightning mode, you have a better idea how much lightning we have going on, and kind of have just a little bit of a wider look at that storm as well. Lots of lightning, like as you mentioned, the last 10 minutes or so. I'm gonna go ahead and step aside real quick. If you're able to highlight how much lightning is within just this general cluster. Thank you, Nathan. And the lightning is also a good indicator how we can measure the strength. Look at that. I've never seen the number of lightning strikes this high in quite some time. And just that small storm that's in parts of Pulaski, parts of Lonoke County there, we've had reports of over 1,500 lightning strikes within a span of just 10 minutes or so. That's a lot. That's a light show right there going on out there. So of course, hopefully everybody has already made their way inside as those storms continue to roll on through. And that's going to be the case. We're going to continue to see lots of lightning with these storms. So let's go ahead and switch back over to our live radar. Let's see if we're able to put a track in terms of where the direction of the storm.
So there's the new severe thunderstorm warning, and they're still going to stick with the destructive severe thunderstorm warning. We warned Jefferson County, we warned Arkansas County, but yeah, that cell is not weakening at all, Corallys, as it's made its way from Pulaski County into Lonoke County. We got reports now a tree fell on a house causing a structure fire on Chico Road in North Little Rock. A house on fire in Valonia due to lightning, no surprise because of all that lightning. So it's the tremendous amount of cloud ground lightning strikes. It's the damaging wind gusts of 60 to 80 miles per hour. And nothing's happening right now in Jefferson County, in Arkansas County, or really Monroe County. But heads up, this storm means business. And if you have anybody that you know is outside, make sure they get inside in the next 30 minutes or so. You don't have much time. This is a nasty storm about to make its way into your neighborhood. And
Nathan, if you're able to, if we can put a track of where the storm is headed in general in the direction, so we can time it out and just kind of give people a heads up of when that storm should be approaching your region. A lot of these storms are moving at about 40, 45 miles per hour. This one in particular, let's see, is moving towards the south and east at about, let's see,
probably
50 miles per
50?
hour. Yes, so we can go ahead and
put a track on here. Just give me 1 second. I'm just going to go with 55 just to give people plenty of time.
Plenty of time, exactly. And I do see more reports in Conway County, multiple trees down there near Moulton, Apello. So we're going to continue to see these reports come in as well. Fortunately, no injuries reported as what they are saying there. So for communities like in England, 611, it should be right at your doorstep. Stuttgart, 628, Clarendon, 632 should be reaching you guys there. Community of DeWitt, 649, all the way down to Dumas, 713. So that's within the next hour or so. But these storms are moving towards the southeast at about 50 miles per hour, bringing in some pretty destructive, damaging wind gusts in excess of 60, even up to 80 miles per hour. Lots of lightning. Right now, I do think we switched over from a large hail threat that we saw over northern portions of the state to more destructive wind threats as well, because right now the hail is not nearly as impressive as the reports of the baseball-sized hail that we saw reported in places like Stone County, for example. So that's about quarter-size hail just outside of Lonoke, just to the east of the metro there. But you're probably seeing really ominous conditions, downpours, and lots of lightning as well. So severe thunderstorm warning in effect. I know there's a little bit of an overlap, but that new warning extends further to our south and east until 6:45. You see those bright shades of yellow here? Those are where we're seeing some of the strongest winds as well. Where we're seeing, wow, is that 100-mile-per-hour wind gusts, 69, 66. That's destructive winds. If you're in England, hopefully you guys have everything already tied down I would even hunker down, even though this is not a tornado warned storm. Those winds can cause quite a bit of some damage, blowing things over 74 miles per hour. So in communities like Keogh, England, Blakemore, even near Coy, those winds are approaching 100 miles per hour. Definitely hunker down. Those are pretty destructive, damaging wind gusts. Nathan.
Yeah, Corrales, this is a nasty wall of wind moving through now into southern parts of Lonoke County. So like she said, England, Coy, Tomberlin, Blakemore, Humnoke, Hamilton, you need to get to a safe place and just kind of treat this like a tornado warning a little bit, because you have winds like this rolling through. This is farmland. You don't have much to block this type of wind. There is a possibility it may just stay just above the surface because the radar beam is a little bit higher, so hopefully this is not reaching the ground, but I think it is reaching the ground, at least 60 to maybe 75 mile per hour winds, and that is going to bring down some tree limbs, that's going to bring down some trees, and that's going to cause some power outages.
Power outages, exactly. Not even an hour ago we had just under 19,000 customers without power, but now our producers are telling us across the state 95,000 customers without power. Lots of people have been impacted by these storms within just a span of less than an hour already. So that's going to continue to be the case as they continue to kind of barrel through southeastern portions of the state through the evening and into the overnight hours as well. So let's go ahead and do a statewide view. We haven't really done that in quite some time, so we can kind of see where the other warnings are in effect. We do have several severe thunderstorm warnings.
I'm going to take the lightning off.
Yes,
Get a
thank
little
you.
busy.
There's another round in parts of western Pulaski near Saline, Perry counties, parts of Faulkner, Conway County as well. Severe thunderstorm warning in effect 6:45. And we have that severe thunderstorm warning until 7 o'clock. I believe that one is in parts of northeast Arkansas. I can't tell where that arrow, yes, it's in northeast Arkansas. And then we have that larger one just to our east, southeast until 6:45. So right now, I do think we're starting to see things begin to wrap up across the northern quarter of the state. I do think it's starting to impact mainly parts of central and entering the southern half of the state as we continue on this evening.
Yes, Corral. So we can give the real all clear to Vedbury County, Cleburne County, most of Pope County, Johnson County. If you're north of this line, you're done with the threat of severe weather through the rest of the evening. It's folks down to the south, you got to keep a heads up. And that goes from Perry County, still Pulaski County. Western Pulaski County, you didn't see much of anything, but you've got the cell moving in here from Perry County, and that's going to be riding right along the line of Pulaski County and Saline County. So get ready. Benton, you haven't seen much just yet, but this cell is heading your direction, and it could pack quite a bit of wind with it as it marches its way down to the south and southeast. Also, anybody down to southeast Arkansas, Dumas, Deshay County, Lincoln County. We've got also Drew County, Chico County, Bradley, Calhoun, Dallas, Cleveland, Grant, Hot Spring, Clark. All those counties, you're still under that severe thunderstorm watch until 10 o'clock tonight. This line is making its way into your neck of the woods. If you know somebody that's out on Lake Washita, they need to be ready to get off that lake, because there's the storm right there moving through Yell County and is trying to build its way down to the south. It's going to be a close call, but this line could extend its way into Scott County. Show you the lightning, because obviously you do not want to be out on the lake when you have this much lightning. So anybody on Lake Washita needs to get off the lake as soon as possible.
And you see how far away some of the lightning kind of spans from the storms themselves. So as it inches closer and closer, if you kind of see it off in the distance and you don't think it's coming your direction, that lightning could still easily approach that far out as well. That's about 12 miles from the storm itself. And that's about roughly almost 12 miles from the lake. So that's why you still want to head indoors, even though it seems like it's far away. Just make sure to take those safety precautions. It's a mess out there if you're traveling in parts of Interstate 40. Hopefully not much cars are on the roads there, because still seeing some pretty gusty conditions. I do think that hail threat has kind of diminished into the evening. We're switching over to more damaging winds. We have several severe thunderstorm warnings. This particular one, parts of western Pulaski, parts of Saline County and Perry until 6:45. Let's see if we can switch over to live winds mode there so we can see how strong the winds are. You can kind of see that tag of that storm. The polygon it's a different color compared to the other polygons. That means the winds aren't nearly as strong, probably up to 60-mile-per-hour winds there. Let's see if we're seeing any other updates there.
So we've got winds of about 47 mile per hour being quarried around Harris Break, and that's be moving towards Williams Junction. So right over Y Mountain at this time, the winds are certainly picking up with that other cell, but this is still a severe thunderstorm warning. Clearly, this is the area with the worst winds, have made their way through England at this time, have made their way through Blakemore, Hamilton, Pettis, seeing very gusty winds. So now it's about to move into Jefferson County. So if you're watching us in Jefferson County, you have a destructive severe thunderstorm warning in effect, and that basically means we are confident, or the National Weather Service is confident, that this storm could produce 70 to maybe 80 to 85 mile per hour winds, bringing down tree limbs, bringing down trees, causing widespread power outages. And this is not the best news, Corallys, because this front is going to bring us some relief in terms of humidity, but it's still going to be hot tomorrow.
It's going to be mid-90s.
And it gets even hotter going into the middle part of next week. We're going to see temperatures probably back up to near 100 by Thursday and Friday. So hopefully all those folks that have lost power, it is going to be a rough night of sleeping.
Yeah, absolutely. Temperatures tonight are still expected to be well into the 70s. This is going to be very uncomfortable and sticky, so I really hope that these are addressed or fixed at least within the next 24 hours before we ramp up that heat and see highs approach back to 100 degrees, unfortunately, later this week. So that's not something we want to deal with. And we still have plenty of night to go as these storms continue to trek through the area. Still lingering here across central Arkansas. It's slowly making its way across the southern half of the state, the northern half, or at least the northern quarter. You guys are beginning to be in the clear. So if we can now with a new check-in, let's go ahead and highlight how strong the winds are within the storm, whether or not it's weakening. I don't think it's weakening. I do think the winds are pretty gusty. You can kind of see the bright shades of yellow there, possibly up to 80 mile per hour wind gusts within that storm, if we're able to highlight that, Nathan.
Okay, I'm just checking to see if the weather crawl is going up first, just to make sure that's covered, and then I'll go ahead and, what were you asking again, Corral? Sorry.
Let's go ahead and highlight the wind speeds of that storm to see whether or not they're strengthening or weakening, which I don't think they're weakening just yet. I still think they're holding on to those wind gusts.
It's still showing a lot of yellow, so I don't think they're weakening.
85 mile per hour winds. We even earlier saw up to 100 mile per hour wind gusts, 75 mile per wind just outside of England there. So it's right at your doorstep if you're in Humphrey, Stuttgart, Ulm as well. Let's go ahead and try to put a track on this severe thunderstorm. It does seem that the rain and the winds are kind of beginning to calm down here in the studio from what I'm hearing.
Yeah,
right
things
now
are starting to calm down. That's good news.
At least here in the metro, but there's still that other storm that's moving across western Pulaski County right now.
Okay, Corrals,
yes.
Go ahead and take over the computer. I have to go to the back real quick.
Yeah. No worries. So I'm going to go ahead and put a track on this storm. They were moving towards the south and east and last check at about 45, 50 miles per hour. So I'm going to do that once again so we can kind of give everybody a heads up when it's planning on coming your direction there. Further towards the south and east. Just give it a minute to load real quick. And again, for those who are just joining us watching on this live stream, we don't have any current tornado warnings at the moment. We're just giving you the latest severe weather updates. It looks like it just updated a little bit here. I'll go ahead and put a track on just the storm that was moving towards the south and east here. I'll increase that to 50 miles per hour and put it on this storm right about here. And that way we can highlight communities who might be in the path of those pretty destructive, strong winds there. And do a little bit outside the polygon. So communities like Hazen, 622 is pretty much right at your doorstep. Stuttgart, 635. So within the next 15 minutes should be approaching you guys. Altheimer at 639. Duncan, 649. All the way down to LaGrue Springs, a 709. That's a little bit outside that polygon right there. So they're moving a little bit faster compared to maybe about an hour ago. They were at 40 miles per hour, so they're closer towards 50 miles per hour. Still seeing lots of lightning within this storm, and as we highlighted earlier, pretty strong wind gusts, 60 to 80 miles per hour. So what I'm going to do, let me go ahead and switch right back to our severe watches that we have in effect for the state. All right, so this is what we have for your current severe weather watches in effect until 10 o'clock. I do think a lot of these counties will begin to be dropped within the next hour or two as the storm continues to trek further towards the south. Not sure in regards to whether or not they plan on expanding it further southward now that it's already beginning to enter the southern half of the state. A lot of these storms have been known to produce some pretty large hail. We've had history of reports of up to baseball-sized hail all over social media there. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and put a better timing on this for you guys for the next few hours and into your Monday as well. Fortunately, this is not going to last too much longer for much of the state. So this is what we can expect within the next 40 minutes to an hour. And then by the time we get towards 9 o'clock, it should have already approached southern portions of the state. And then the upper 2/3 of the state, we should see a brief break, but it does hint that there could be potentially some more lingering scattered showers and storms, although I don't think they're going to be nearly as severe as what we were dealing with earlier this afternoon and evening. This is around midnight, so we could still continue to hold on to see some stray shower activity over the next few hours, even after a little bit of a brief break. That continues on across the southern portions of the state until 2 o'clock in the morning, eventually losing a little bit of its steam. A few stray showers still expected to possibly hold on by the early morning hours on Monday for far south Arkansas. By your Monday morning, though, we should be in the clear. The front should already have begun to clear across the area, and we'll start to see not nearly as humid conditions Monday, but also the return of some sunshine as well. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys the temperature trends of what we're expecting for the upcoming week. Just because we have so many people dealing with these power outages from the storms, it's not something we want to hear, especially when we're going to be entering pretty much a heat wave. And a heat wave for us here is whenever we have 3 days in a row where temperatures are at 95 degrees or above for more than 3 days in a row. And look, we have highs possibly nearing mid 90s Monday and Tuesday, and then upper 90s to near 100 degrees Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and into our Saturday. So potentially the next 5, maybe 6 days, we could be seeing highs above that 95-degree mark. So not something we want to hear for sure. So hopefully that gets resolved in terms of the power outages. And unfortunately, I hope folks find ways to stay cool tonight for those who don't have power as the storms continue to trek on through. So I'm going to go ahead and switch right back to radar. I'm doing a statewide view. Here are the latest in terms of severe thunderstorm warnings. I'll go ahead and just highlight the warnings, polygons in general, so you guys can see all the different colors. We have a large polygon you see shaded in that light blue. That means destructive in terms of the severe warning tag. That means that we could be seeing destructive winds, in this case, in excess of 60 up to 80 miles per hour. Considerable damage with this one storm exiting northeast Arkansas, and just your standard severe thunderstorm warning polygon color with this storm over parts of western Pulaski, Perry, Saline counties. That's in effect until 6:45. We've seen winds up to 50 miles per hour with that storm, but the strongest winds have been within this general storm in parts of Lonoke, parts of Lonoke, Prairie, Jefferson, even entering parts of Arkansas and Lincoln counties as well. So I'll go ahead and switch right back to live radar and kind of show you what we're dealing with right now. Statewide, this is mainly It's mainly central Arkansas being heavily impacted at the moment, and no current tornado warnings, which is great, but we're going to keep an eye out because not long ago, about an hour ago, we did have a tornado warned storm that was very brief just because they did have hints of that circulation, which was a little bit hard to track because it was embedded within the gusty wall of wind that we're already dealing within the storm itself. So a closer look at all that lightning we're dealing with on top of that. Matter of fact, I'll go back to the lightning count because the last check-in we did on that, we saw over 1,500 lightning strikes just within this cluster of storms in the past and just within 10 minutes. So this general area here has at about still 1,200 lightning strikes within just that one storm moving out of Pulaski towards the south and east. That's a lot of lightning. And you still want to make sure to just be mindful of that as well.
All right, thanks, Corallys. Let's go ahead and talk about what is happening right now, who's out of the danger zone, and also what we've been seeing. I'm going to go ahead and pull up some reports here pretty soon, but there you see, once again, the highlight of this complex has been really just pretty much damaging wind gusts. Yes, there was large hail earlier, but now it's all about the threat of damaging winds about to make their way right into Stuttgart, Humphrey, and it's going to get very close to Pine Bluff. So these winds can bring down tree limbs, can bring down trees, can tear off roof shingles. We've seen some evidence of that as well. And these storms are not weakening. You can clearly still see that nasty wall of wind moving through Lono County, about to enter into Prairie County, and about to move into Arkansas County. So Stuttgart, let's just query these winds, and this is what's heading your direction, so get ready because these winds could be 65 to 70 miles per hour as they make their way through the city of Stuttgart. Pine Bluff, you probably will get clipped by the real extreme winds. I think they're just going to be off to the east of you, but nonetheless, you're still going to see some gusty winds. The core of the winds moving through Humnoak, Hamilton, about to enter into Slovak, Fairmount, and like I said, Stuttgart, Rowe, and this part of Prairie County, and also now into Monroe County. Things have really started to quiet down into Pulaski County. As we take a look at the radar, we're not seeing the winds too much with that, but we're about to get more heavy downpours moving into downtown Little Rock. This band of storms does have a lot of lightning with it, approaching Hot Springs Village, Jesseville, Perrin, into Crows, Kentucky, Lake Wyona, and eventually into Benton. So you have not seen anything really in Alexander, Benton, or Haskell just yet, but this band of wind is headed in your direction, but it's not as extreme as what we're seeing off to the east. I think this storm will primarily produce 50, maybe as high as 60 mile per hour winds. That could still certainly bring down some tree limbs and cause some power outages. But this cell off to the east has had a history of producing a lot of damage across the area. I'm just going to query some of these reports that we're getting in from the National Weather Service now, and there you see numerous trees blown down in Burns Park. Of course, they were just hit by the March 31st EF3 tornado, and it looks like they're going to have some more cleanup to do, unfortunately, in Burns Park. Other reports, just to the northeast of North Little Rock, around the Sherwood area, we've got trees, power lines reported down throughout the city of Sherwood. So you don't want to be driving around and looking at storm damage and looking at reports and seeing what's happening in your neighborhood. Best thing to do is stay home until crews can get out there and clean up the roads. Watch out for down power lines. Don't ever try to get near a down power line because it could still be alive and could still certainly electrocute you. There's broken power poles in Lono County, and then into the Cabot area, a tree down in southbound lane of Highway 67. So this cell has certainly been producing a lot of damage. We've got the power outages mounting up. Let's go over to Storm Track 11, Corallys. I'm just going to go ahead and query some of these, and you can talk about all the power outages that are adding up across the area. So Storm Track 11 in the back, guys, if you would please get that up, I would appreciate it.
So I just refreshed the map, and now we're up to over 100,000 customers, up to 107,000 customers without power right now. A good portion of that are in parts of Pulaski, Lonoke. We have Prairie, we have Faulkner, we have Conway, Pope, Perry, even up to White County towards near northeastern portions of the state. We have tons of customers out without power. I do believe, if you're able to tell on that map, Nathan, which ones are mainly being reported in terms of the outages, in terms of the providers.
Okay, so we got 44,000 customers without power in Pulaski County, 19,000 customers without power in Lonoke County, 610, but that number is going to be going up in Prairie County, White County around 3,000. There you see 12,000 in Faulkner County, in Perry County about 1,300, Conway County around 2,400, Pope County around 5,700, and there's all the cooperatives and electric providers for Arkansas, and looks like the main one that has been affected has been energy with 42,000 customers without power. Corallys, go ahead, and I'm going to switch over here to radar, and we'll take a look at Max 1. I'm going to take a look at some other data here off air. It looks like they just went with a different severe thunderstorm warning. So they've upgraded that severe thunderstorm warning now for Saline County and Garland County, and have downgraded that one from a destructive severe thunderstorm warning for Arkansas County, Jefferson County, to a considerable severe thunderstorm warning. So basically now we're dealing with two storms that could produce winds of 60, maybe as high as 70, 75 miles per hour.
So with this latest warning, we have, as Nathan mentioned, considerable. I'm just looking at the updates right now. Winds could get as high as 70 miles per hour and hail just under an inch. For Conway, Faulkner, Garland, Perry, Pulaski, Saline, and Yell counties, this is until 6:45, along with this storm until 6:45. So for another 10 to 15 minutes, we'll be dealing with some pretty likely damaging wind gusts within these storms, which have been the case. We kind of switched over things from large hail to gusty winds, and I do think that's what we'll continue to see as this cluster of storms seem to form somewhat of a bow-like structure. Whenever we see kind of a little bit of the round in the storms, that's when we normally see some of those damaging winds along with that as well. So this is the latest in terms of we've had the severe thunderstorm warnings. I do think statewide, this is the only ones that we're seeing at the moment. Nathan, if you're able to do a little bit of a wider look on there.
Yep, just 1 second.
Yeah, right now, besides that one storm just outside of Jonesboro, northeast Arkansas, also producing lots of lightning, these are the two significant ones that we have going on at the moment for the next 10 to 15 minutes. So here in Pulaski County, we saw that one round push through within the last half hour or to 45 minutes, and we still have another one just to our west, which I do think is pushing more towards the south. So here's what I'm going to do, since I know you're looking at some updates, Nathan. I'll go ahead and take over that radar real quick, and I'll put a little bit of a path on that one storm there. We'll put this radar on pause real quick. This one's moving roughly towards the southeast there, so we can see what communities are going to be impacted. We did mention, if you were near Lake Ouachita, how you guys want to make sure to make your way on in, just because it was inching closer and closer towards you guys. I'm going to look at the latest winds. This storm, let's see, they're saying that it's moving at roughly, let me get some information on this storm, roughly south at 30 miles per hour, so not nearly as fast as the other storm. So this one is taking its time there. So I'll go ahead and update that and track it for you guys, so we can see what communities need to be on the lookout. So this is a rough path of this storm here. I'm going to extend a little bit beyond the polygon, just a little bit past near Haskell there. All right, so if you're in the community of Reform, 636 is pretty much right at your doorstep. Congo, 646, all the way down to Salem at 650. Benton, 658. Haskell at 708, all the way down to Fountain Lake, 713. Again, this warning is in effect until 6:45. This particular storm is producing some pretty gusty winds, possibly in excess of 60 miles per hour, moving towards the south at around 30. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to switch over back to live winds, and we can try to highlight how strong some of the winds are within this storm here. Go ahead and query that real quick for you guys. Okay, I'm seeing 40 mile per hour wind gusts there. All right, so right now it does seem that the winds aren't being picked up just yet, but I do think anything in excess of 60 miles per hour is definitely possible. I'm going to go ahead and switch over to hail, because they're likely producing some pretty large hail, which we're seeing right now just to the south of Ola, to the west of Nimrod, there into that intersection where Highway 60 and 70 is, near Nimrod Lake there. Seeing lots of large hail possibly being reported there. Hail size over 1.4 inches in diameter. So about ping pong, maybe golf ball size hail being reported in that area in parts of Perry County there. Hail reports and within the other storm not nearly as significant. I do think that one storm that's in parts of Jefferson, Arkansas, Lonoke, Prairie County, that one is more of a major wind event. This one has a little bit more hail with that, the one to our west. So I'll go ahead and switch right back to live radar there. So these are the two warnings that we still have across much of the state, in parts of central, entering south central Arkansas until 6:45. So for another 10 minutes or so. Nathan, have you been seeing any reports so far on social media, what people have been sending in at all? Because I know earlier today we had lots of hail reports, large hail up to baseball size is what we saw. But again, when it is safe to do so, I don't want anybody to go out there to try to capture what's going on. You can always send us any of your reports. I have a graphic here for that at 501-376-1111. Of course, make sure to include your name and location as well. So we are still under a severe thunderstorm watch until 10 o'clock this evening. I likely will see more counties being dropped from this watch, especially across the northern quarter of the state. I'm not sure whether or not they're expected to continue this watch further to our south. Some of those storms could lose their strength as the evening progresses, but I do think we could still see some pretty gusty, damaging winds here, Nathan.
Yeah, we're still looking at that line. It's maintaining its strength, Corallys. I'm going over the THV11 Facebook page. People have been sending us pictures, and there have been pictures of trees coming down, some damage out there as well. Along with that, there has been a lot of lightning reports. Some crazy looking clouds, very ominous clouds, have made their way across the metro and then also now off to the east. So these storms, they're still moving into an environment. They will maintain their strength. So don't think they're going to weaken Grant County, Hot Spring County. Get ready, because that cell into Perry County is going to be marching in your direction very shortly. So Malvern, Sheridan, Benton, there you see, it's knocking on your doorstep. I'm sure you can hear the thunder and probably see the lightning off to your north. That cell is certainly an ugly one with a lot of lightning and probably a good gust of wind about to make its way into Benton and Bryant and Salem, those areas. Time to batten down the hatches, but we're still looking at that potential of very gusty winds moving through Arkansas County, affected Stuttgart at this time. The storm reports are adding up across the region. Power outages are adding up across the region. We knew this was a possibility, especially when we had such a hot day, a very humid day, for these storms to just explode across the Ozarks and then merge into a line, and that has certainly been the case, Corrals.
Yeah, so here are a few communities that are likely dealing with this storm right now. We have Perrin, we have Lake Winona, Lake Sylvia State Park, Dry Fork Lake, communities like Avila. It's pretty much right at your doorstep there. Still just to your north if you're in Jesseville, Hot Springs Village, Fountain Lake, Crows, Kentucky, Salem. It should be reaching you guys possibly within the next 15, maybe 20 minutes or slightly less there. Again, these storms are moving towards the south-southeast at roughly 30 miles per hour, not nearly as fast as the other storm to our east. But speaking of that storm, I'm going to go ahead and switch over to live wind modes in a minute, but communities like Wabaseka, Humphrey, Goldman, Stuttgart, you guys are dealing with the brunt of the storm right now, just at your doorstep in Rowe, Yoder, Valier, Altheimer. It's pretty much right at your doorstep as well. In terms of the live winds, let's go ahead and I'm going to highlight to see how strong the winds are still being reported, which whenever you see those bright hues of the yellows there, it's a good indication how strong those winds are. So I'm gonna go ahead and put a few numbers on that real quick for you guys. So 76, 81 mile per hour wind gusts, 83. We are seeing 83 just north of Stuttgart and the community of Humphreys, you guys, or Humphrey, I should say, 76 mile per hour wind gusts there. So yeah, some pretty destructive winds. And this warning is still holding on for another 5 minutes. I do think they're gonna extend that and shift the polygon a little bit further towards the south and east as it continues to track towards the south and east. Go back and towards the live winds, live radar, excuse me.
All right, Cross, you want to go back on chroma key?
Yes.
The green screen, and I'll take over the radar for you. And as you go over there, we'll just talk about once again that we have that severe thunderstorm watch in effect until 10 o'clock for most of central Arkansas. Now, if you are to the north of this line, you're done with the threat of severe weather, and that does include things into Faulkner County. Things have started to quiet down into Faulkner County. They may need to extend this watch farther down to the south. So you're not under a watch right now. Lincoln County, also Cleveland County, Deshay County, Drew County, Dallas, Clark County, but that may need to be extended looking at the trends of where this line is moving towards, and it's moving its way down to the south. So let's go ahead and give you the all clear from severe weather, that is. You still have maybe some showers and storms moving through Conway and Morrilton, but the severe weather threat is really done for locations to the north of Pulaski County. So we're done with the severe weather threat for Pope County, for Conway County, Faulkner, White, Van Buren, Cleburne, Searcy, Newton, Stone, Izard, Independence, Jackson, and then even, I would say, most of Woodruff County. The focus of where these storms are aimed at, there you see that new severe thunderstorm warning that has been posted, and that it does include Grant County, Hot Spring County, and the cities of Malvern and Sheridan. That goes until 7:30 for this evening because you've got this line marching its way through Perry County, Saline County, and western parts of Pulaski County. So things are going to get a little rowdy here, a little bit more in downtown Little Rock. Still some lightning and thunder to get through. And then once this line moves out, we're done with the threat of severe weather here in Pulaski County and Perry County. Just bear with us for another 30 minutes, maybe as much as an hour, but it's really locations down to the south and southeast that have to be on your guard. So we've got the new severe thunderstorm warning for Hot Spring County, Grant County, and southern parts of Saline County, and also the Hot Springs area in Garland County. And then we've got a brand new severe thunderstorm warning that has been extended all the way down to Deshay County and Drew County. So that includes you folks in Tiller, McGee, Dumas, all along Highway 160, Highway 65 and 165. So those areas, this cell is maintaining its strength as expected. It made its way through Stuttgart, still producing a wall of wind that could bring down some tree limbs, that could bring down some trees, that could cause some structural damage. It's headed for DeWitt, Grady, Gillette, Dumas. You don't have much time. It's headed your way. You probably have about 30 minutes to an hour. That severe thunderstorm warning is in effect until, well, let's see here. Here's the latest data till 7:30 for that part of southeast Arkansas. So a lot going on, Corallys.
Yeah, fortunately nothing tornado warned like we saw at around that 5:30 hour or so. It's just some pretty strong storms, but you still want to take it seriously as a tornado warning storm because the winds, they're whipping from these storms. Lots of lightning on top of that as well. This storm was producing up to ping pong sized hail. If you want to switch over to the hail mode, I'm not sure if that's still holding on to that. Yeah, we're still seeing some over in Perry County there, western portions, seeing up to ping pong, possibly even golf ball sized hail. This storm, not nearly as much. This one's more of a wind threat. This one's a combination of winds and even some large hail, which it was interesting seeing the development of these storms over the past few hours. They started off as hailers, pretty large hail, and they switched right back into damaging winds as well. So these are the two main storms that we're watching right now. You can see highlighted in the orange and in that purple. Here's a look at the max wind gusts we've seen reported so far. 69 here in Little Rock, 35 in Russellville, 20 in Conway. I do think, again, we've had much higher reports kind of being hinted on the radar that we were highlighting for you guys. But Jonesboro up to 59 mile per hour. So yeah, some pretty gusty
But
winds.
that 69 mile per hour wind gust is significant. I don't think I've seen that type of wind gust at Little Rock Airport since I've been here for 5 years. It's always been around the area. I know we had that wind episode a couple years ago that made its way through West Little Rock in the middle of the night. That produced winds of 70 to about 90 miles per hour, but it weakened before it reached the airport. So that's why we're seeing all the power outages, Corallys, because of winds like that. And this storm is not weakening as it continues to sweep its way, now moving into southeast Arkansas.
Yeah, and last check-in we had over, ooh, that was really loud thunder there. We had over 100,000 customers. I think it was 107 at the last check-in. Customers across the state without power because of these storms. And we're still going on this evening. So we'll likely see more, or an increase to those numbers through the evening. There's all that yellow you see highlighted, the bright shades of yellow. That's where we're seeing some of the strongest winds. So it's right over you in Ulm and Stuttgart, Humphrey. It's right at your doorstep in Clarendon, Duval's Bluff as well. Even though you guys are almost outside of that polygon, still dealing with some pretty gusty winds of possibly up to 70, 80 mile per hour possible. With those winds in the surrounding area. Is mirroring you guys over in DeWitt as well. Further southward, let's see what other communities we can include there. Gillette, I believe. Grady,
Gillette, yes.
Thank you. And Grady as well. You guys are within that polygon. This particular storm, let me go ahead and see how fast it's moving there, because that one is still in effect until 7:30, the one they just extended. This one is moving towards the southeast at 55 miles per hour, so a little bit faster than the other storm to our west. So go ahead and see if we can, I can go over and towards the radar there, if we can go ahead and
And I'm just looking at other reports, Corallys, from the National Weather Service. They're saying that multiple large trees blown across a railroad track adjacent to old U.S. Highway 67.
Okay.
That was near Swifton. That's near. That's in Jackson County. Still seeing numerous trees and power lines reported down throughout the city of Sherwood. No surprise with all the power outages happening. Trees reported down onto houses in Morrilton. So this cell has been producing a lot of damage across a large part of the THV 11 viewing area. It started over into Pope and Van Buren counties, maintained its strength. It was a hailer, big time hail, giant hail in parts of the area when they first started to explode. And then it became more of a damaging wind threat, and that continues to be the story as this cell makes its way through Arkansas County. So that is our main focus now, Arkansas County. Time to batten down the hatches and treat this almost like a tornado warning. I would, get to an interior room, stay away from windows, stay away from doors, because if this band is still producing winds of 70 to 80 miles per hour, you certainly do not want to be near anything like windows that may blow out. That is a possibility in this type of situation. Also, a lot of lightning. So there could be some areas that get struck by lightning. There have been some homes that have been getting struck by lightning because of all this lightning that's being produced by this one cell. This is the big cell that we are watching very closely. This is not a tornado threat. We had the tornado warning earlier. it was a potential brief spin up, but this is a wall of wind that's going to cover all of Arkansas County and also even the panhandle of, I would say, Jefferson County. So Pine Bluff, you're going to miss the wall of wind with that cell, but Grady, Gillette, DeWitt, Dumas, Rosedale, some other communities, Tishner, Weber, Duluth, Douglas, Rydell, Kimbrough, Arkansas Post Museum State Park, also in the line of fire with this cell that will likely produce some very high winds. Getting closer to the metro because we are seeing the lightning pick up here in Little Rock. It's primarily just heavy rain and lots of lightning. There could be certainly some winds with this, but not the winds that what we have been seeing in other parts of the area. Looks like there's a little bit of wind right along Cantrell Road, Pinnacle Mountain. That could be winds of 30 to 45 miles per hour. So just watch out for that. That could certainly make the trees dance quite a bit and maybe bring down some small tree limbs. But we're not seeing that wall of wind here in Saline County. Nonetheless, this is still a spicy storm moving through Saline County, Benton, Alexander, right along Interstate 30, dropping its way down to the south. It will be affecting you folks in Hot Springs Village and Lake Hamilton and Hot Springs. There's Lake Ouachita. If you know anybody that's out on Lake Ouachita at this time, they need to get back onto land. There's a lightning strike, and look how far that is from the actual storm. I'm going to go ahead and put a distance measure here, and you can see that lightning strike is almost 15 miles away from where it's raining, Corallys. So
yes.
Just because it's not raining in your area, if you hear thunder, that is a clear sign you need to get to safety because you are close enough to the storm to get struck by lightning.
Nathan, if we can go back to this severe thunderstorm watch map, they did actually extend that severe thunderstorm watch to include southern portions of the state. So in counties like Ashley, Chico, Dallas, Hampstead, mainly to our south and east, Calhoun, Cleveland, Drew, Lincoln, Pike, Ouachita, Howard, Deshay, Clark, Bradley, just to name a few. That particular watch is in effect until 2 o'clock. So that's for the southern half of the state until 2 o'clock. The northern half will be around until 10 o'clock. And I do think they might eventually drop a few counties across northern portions of the state. So this is going to continue on for at least several more hours across the rest of the state in total, up until 2 o'clock in the morning, the potential of seeing some strong to severe storms.
All right, if you're just joining us on the THV11 streaming app or Facebook, thank you for watching us. We'll really appreciate you staying with us and trying to inform you as much as possible on this what turned out to be an ugly day as expected. We were warning you, hey, don't let your guard down. We got the heat, we got the humidity, and things could get a little rowdy, and that certainly has been the case. Hopefully you and your family are safe and the damage is not too destructive in your neighborhood, but we continue to see power outages add up. We continue to see pictures and videos of trees down on vehicles, on homes. You know, it's just, I'm sure we're all over severe weather season, and typically we're just talking about heat and humidity this time of year, but we're just still in this northwest flow that we've got a front making its way through, and this front is the trigger to produce all this activity out there this evening. So here are the latest warnings. Once again, we've got two different colors here indicating two different types of severe thunderstorm warnings. The one in the orange color is severe weather is likely. That means 58 mile per hour winds or greater and maybe quarter-sized hail or greater is possible or likely for Saline County, Garland County, Hot Spring County, Grant County, and western parts of Jefferson County. It's the purple area that is the most concern because that is associated with the storm cell that's been producing the most damage across the area and it's still maintaining its strength. So this is a considerable severe thunderstorm warning for Monroe County, Arkansas County, eastern Jefferson County, eastern Lincoln County, all of Deshay County, and then even stretching its way into northeast Drew County. And the reason for that is because this cell has been producing a wall of wind and it still could produce some very high winds as it marches its way through Arkansas County, about to move into DeWitt, Gillette, and Grady. Here are the winds with that cell it is still showing winds, very high wind speeds. Now we're getting farther away from the radar. So when we take a look at the radar in this part of the state, we're getting it about 4,000 feet above the surface, this data that's coming in. Nonetheless, we are still seeing winds that could make their way down to the surface of almost 80 miles per hour. There's even some that are higher than 80 miles per hour. So I would say at least there is a band of wind moving through Arkansas County right now of 60 to 70 miles per hour, but there could be some pockets even higher than that.
All right. I'm just checking for some updates here real quick.
Okay, no problem. So when we take a look at the radar with the rain tool, it is very heavy rain. It is a lot of lightning. I'm just going to go ahead and put a little box here. And we're just going to do a query of this little part of Arkansas County. Almost 200 lightning strikes in the past 10 minutes in that little sliver of Arkansas County. So it's heavy rain, torrential rain, lots of consistent cloud ground lightning strikes. It's going to be very loud as the storm rolls its way in, but the main concern will be the potential of high winds. When we take a look at the hail, it's there, but it's not significant. It's pea size, it's dime size. We're not seeing those purples and yellows showing up on the hail now tool. So the hail, not a big deal now. It's all about the winds, and it's all about this cell bowing out, showing that potential of very high winds aimed through Arkansas County, Monroe County, and it's going to clip Lincoln County. Will it make its way into Star City? Looks like it won't, but Grady, certainly you want to batten down the hatches, especially Gillette and DeWitt. I think the winds are already reaching you folks.
And also, I've been kind of monitoring how much we have in terms of the power outages across the state, and the numbers have just continued to increase thanks to the damaging winds. If we can go ahead and switch over to our weather computer or PC to show the outage maps, because they've increased quite a bit since our last check-in. We're seeing over 130,000 customers without power across the state. You can kind of see the general path where the storms were moving. That's where we're seeing most of the power outages. So we're seeing just under 30,000 without power in Lonoke, and if we continue to just look at a few more counties there, 52,000, a little bit over 52,000 just here in Pulaski and Faulkner County, a little bit over 12,000, a little bit over 1,600 in Perry County, and in Conway County, a little bit over 3,000 customers without power. Pope, over 4,800 without power. So there's a little corridor between parts of Central all the way towards the north and east that are not seeing are seeing power outages. So 132 across the state are seeing reports of power outages there. So it's just a good indication how strong some of these storms have been. We can go ahead and switch right back to our, well, are you highlighting the winds here, Nathan?
I was just checking them out.
Okay, if we can go ahead and switch over to our Max 1 computer, thank you. So this is right where we're seeing all the storms. This is all the storm reports that we've had come in. Lots of thunderstorm damage. We've had earlier large hail. It looks like they just issued another severe thunderstorm warning. This one is over in parts of Conway and Pope and parts of Yell County. That one is until 7:30. This area already saw some of those storms roll through over the last few hours. As you saw, we saw all those hail reports there. So this is that new warning reports, as I mentioned, Conway, Pope, and Yell. This one is until 7:30 for just that.
It's got a little bit of a hail core.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Up to maybe ping pong size hail being reported there possible. So we have 3
Which is interesting
warnings.
because it's behind the main line, and they already had storms in that part of the state through Pope County. So I'm surprised that the atmosphere was able to recover a little bit. But yeah, that does have a little hail core with it, just in between Dover and we've got Three Knob Mountain, right along Highway 7 and Highway 64, where that meets.
Yes.
164, where that meets. But looks like that could be the largest hail possible when we take a look at the rest of the state. And that one stands out a little bit. So hopefully that will weaken. I mean, looking at it, let's take a look at the echo tops. No, it's got a big echo top. It's got a very high cloud height, that just really developed over the past 5-10 minutes. So that severe thunderstorm warning is in effect for Atkins. We've been getting videos from Atkins about the hail earlier. Hopefully this does not stick around too long, and hopefully it weakens somewhat, but Dover, Moreland, Atkins, those areas, you could see some more hail because this storm has decided to flare up over that part of Pope County. When we take a look at what's happening, we still have this solid area of storms right through the heart of central Arkansas, Corallys, and severe thunderstorm warnings attached with it, but we still have that considerable severe thunderstorm warning issued for Arkansas County and Deshay County. Everywhere you see, it's just a lot of lightning covering up the area. Things will start to wind down here in downtown Little Rock. We've got lots of lightning and thunder at this time. Sherwood's starting to dry out, Gibson's starting to dry out, but we still have some more thunderstorms developing over Conway. That's not severe, but we just have to watch out for these cells.
Let's
into
go back
Pope
down
County.
to this one down here. Let's see what communities are approaching, where that storm is approaching. Haskell, it's right there, right at your doorstep there. A little bit further towards, if you could move that radar a little bit more. Sheridan, it's still just to your northeast end as well. You guys are starting to be impacted. Benton, I do believe, as well towards Alexander. If you can switch right back to, are you trying to track some of the winds there?
Just seeing how the winds are.
Yeah.
They're not
Nearly
crazy
as
like
strong.
what we have been seeing.
You can kind of tell with the tag, whenever we see that orange tag, the winds, in general, when it comes to just your standard severe thunderstorm warning, wind gusts up to 58 miles per hour is the standard, or even less sometimes. I do think they put that warning in that one because it did have a little bit, some of that larger hail and the occasional high wind gust. So this is parts of western portions of the metro, 30 mile per hour wind gusts there possible. So, and it's closer towards that radar site, so it's possibly picking it up a little bit better too. So, well, I am hearing the rain come down here, that's for sure, in the metro. This is like our second round of storms with this particular severe thunderstorm warning. A little bit of a wider look statewide though, so we can have a better idea who's kind of in the clear and who's not. So I do think just this general area, near the river valley, slightly to the north and to our north and east, you guys should begin to be in the clear in terms of the brunt of that severe weather. It's beginning to approach southern Arkansas slowly but surely through the evening hours, which is why they extended that severe thunderstorm watch for the rest of southeast Arkansas until 2 o'clock this morning. And now as the storms begin. And this one is still holding on to strength. It has still lots of lightning with it, gusts possibly as high as 70, maybe 80 mile per hour wind gusts with this one. This is the one that's been causing quite a bit of some damage in its path as well. I know you did pull up the reports earlier. We can look at that in just a bit, but let's go ahead and highlight some of the winds. And as you mentioned earlier, Nathan, this is far away from the radar site, about an elevation 4,000 feet above. This is how the winds are. Well, look at that, 91 per hour wind gusts possible. Again, this is a little bit higher up in elevation, so it could possibly be reaching the ground, maybe not nearly as strong, but still it's expected to be pretty strong enough to cause enough damage, regardless if it's 90 miles per hour, 74, 64, 79. So I think anywhere from, I would say 50 to 70 is definitely possible within this band or this wall of wind that's moving towards, I believe, the east, southeast. I don't think we put a track on this in quite some time. This particular one, let's see, is moving towards...
Looks like east when you take a look at the radar loop.
Yes.
A little bit of a southeast direction, but certainly it's more
Let's see.
east.
This one is moving at the last update east at 55 miles per hour. So let's go ahead. It looks like it's beginning to enter near the Delta region, but we can go ahead and try to highlight some communities and the timing of it and when it's expected to reach you guys. Go ahead and do that.
I've just been looking at videos and pictures and seeing what's happening. There are some roads that are closed due to trees blocking their roadways. So again, you just want to stay home. Don't try to go out and explore and see what damage is happening around your neighborhood, because you don't want to mess around with power lines. They could still be live. We're seeing trees on power lines down. We're seeing big tree limbs down across the area. It's certainly a mess out there. We always appreciate your reports. Once again, if you have reports, go ahead and send them to us, 501-376-1111, or you can go ahead and direct message us on our THV11 Facebook page as well. If you have video, a great way to send video to us is through the THV11 app. When you open that app up, you look on the lower right-hand corner of your screen and you see what says Near Me. You hit that button, and then that'll take you to a new screen that shows you a map, and it'll show you pictures, what's happening across the area of all the videos and pictures that we've been getting in. But you go ahead and click the Share with Us button, and that way you can go ahead and download your storm video to us and get it to us that way as well. Video, it's best to go through that or the THV11 Facebook page. Other ways, 501-376-1111. We can't download video on that part. So we just want to get your reports and pictures using that way.
Thanks for that clarification there, Nathan. I know that we won't have several ways of receiving some of those updates, but I put a track on that storm, as I said, moving roughly to the east, southeast at about 55 miles per hour since the last check-in. So communities like Gilead at 704, Weber at 711, Catron at 718, Snow Lake 723, and then all the way down beyond that, crossing into, I believe that's even Mississippi, at 737 there. So they're continuing this severe thunderstorm warning until 7:30. So that was just the latest updates on that one. Matter of fact, let me see real quick what they're saying about that one. And they also canceled the severe thunderstorm warning for parts of Roanoke and Prairie counties as well. Oh, it looks like we have several more.
Those cells are back building.
Yeah.
They're going into Logan County and now into Johnson County. So. And then we got new ones in Yell County. So that's primarily a hail threat. Garland County, you have not seen much at all just yet, but there you go. There's a new cell developing in Yell County. That's be dropping its way towards Hot Springs Village. And then you got Buckville, Bear, Stillwater. So things are starting to change weather-wise into Yell County, Plainview at this time. Those cells are building. It looks like they're continuing to build their way all the way through Scott County. So I would say even Polk County, Montgomery County, Pike County, you have not seen anything just yet, but these cells are now building their way off to the west. We're starting to see a possible line develop, and all that is going to be marching its way down to the south. So the good news is we're going to get rain for a large part of the area. We need the rain. We just don't need the severe weather. Unfortunately, we're going to have to deal with the potential of some severe weather all the way through probably 10 o'clock as these storms are still running into an environment that supports large hail, lots of lightning, torrential rain, and also high winds that could be 60 to 80 miles per hour. So here is what we're looking at once again on radar, just clusters of showers and storms. Some locations are quiet, other locations it is very loud and even a little bit on the scary side. So let's go ahead, give you a radar tour all around the area, break things down here for you. First of all, we'll go to the northwest because these are the newest cells developing, Corallys, into Johnson County, into Pope County. This is primarily hail at this time, but this could certainly evolve into a wind threat farther down to the south as these cells start to merge together. So
those two cells spanning anywhere from Johnson into parts of, you mentioned Pope, Yell County, Perry County, those are until 7:30. There's that hail core right there, ping pong, possibly maybe golf ball size, if you can use that tool to identify how many inches that we're seeing right there with that. possibly coming down from that storm. It's in that vicinity of Dover, Scottsville, Moreland, so over an inch and a half. So yeah, possibly ping pong size and near golf ball size hail possible with that. Not nearly as much with this particular one further to our west there, and in terms of the other storms, the hail is not nearly as large as this one. I think that's why they decided to put a few warnings with these two ones, just because of the hail, not nearly as much of a wind threat compared to the other storms that we're seeing right now. So communities like, it's just to your south in Hector, Dover is right over you guys. Further to our east, Atkins, just to your north. So these are the communities within that polygon, or we're likely seeing a severe thunderstorm in terms of hail up to an inch or more, or even gusts in excess of 58 miles per hour, although I do think this is mainly just producing some large hail there. A few more communities highlighted within these other polygons where these warnings are still in effect until 7:30 for communities like Corinth, Danville, Plainview, Briggsville, Onyx, Steve, right near Nimrod Lake there, as we continue to near over into Perry County. And then further to our east, we can go ahead and highlight that storm down there. Lots of lightning with that at the moment as it continues to move towards the east, the southeast. This is parts of Perry, Saline, and Pulaski counties there. We have Lake Winona there. You guys are seeing plenty of lightning. Let's go ahead and pause that radar so we can see what is going on at the current time. Thank you. You guys are seeing lots of lightning over in Saline County, Perrin, Williams Junction there. There's Jessieville, Hot Springs Village is just to your north and east, but as you can see, lightning is extending even beyond that storm as well. So even though it's in the vicinity, it can still produce some lightning in the area. And then further eastward, we're continuing to see that storm move. As you can see, the hail on these storms, quarter-sized hail in general, not nearly as large as that the golf ball, the ping pong size hail that we saw with the other storm further to our west. But this is the storm here that we're seeing move through the metro that's been producing some heavy downpours, lots of lightning, especially over if you're in Benton, Alexander, East End regions, Sardis, Iron Springs there. You're going to try to find some of the winds in that general area. You can kind of see almost how the winds kind of push through from the north there earlier.
Looks like there's a little bit of wind right there, between Cane Creek and Orion.
Possibly,
little pocket of wind.
Possibly anywhere from 50 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts in that area near Cane Creek, just to the east of 167.
But it's loud.
Orion.
I mean, all that lightning and thunder.
Very loud for sure. All right, well, let's go ahead and do a little bit of a wider view. Again, there's still that one large storm that's just slowly trekking near the Delta region. Eventually, we're going to make an exit, I want to say, within the next 30 minutes to an hour. It's kind of been moving at a pace at about 50 to 55 miles per hour. It's right over you and DeWitt, excuse me, and that's moving towards the east at about 55. This warning in effect until 7:30, and then it looks like they're extending another one beyond that until 8 o'clock. It's going to be right at your doorstep in Lane there.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if it actually builds its way into most of Shea County. But
yeah.
Dumas, it's going to be close. It's going to be a close call. We've got that core of wind affecting Gillette right now. So it may stay just to the northeast of you if you're lucky, but it certainly could still try to build its way down to the southwest. So don't let your guard down into Shea County. You still are under that severe thunderstorm warning, and I think likely you will see something come your way because we've got more storms over here into Jefferson County. That's going to be building its way into Lincoln County and eventually into Cleveland County and Drew County as we go through the course of the evening.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and technically 6 warnings are currently in effect across the state. Let's go ahead and just put the warnings, the tool, so we can see a better, yeah, thank you. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and there's a little bit of overlap. So about 5 to 6 warnings currently happening across the natural state. Some either crossing over parts of Interstate 30, south of Interstate 40 near the Delta region, being impacted for portions of the metro here, and some right along Interstate 40 near the River Valley region, spanning anywhere or lasting anywhere from up to 7:30, so for at least another 17 minutes with a lot of these storms This one I do think is going to be a little bit longer, up until the 8 o'clock hour. And yeah, I think we're just going to continue to track to see as the storm slowly pushed to the south. They did expand that severe thunderstorm watch for that southern half of the state, southeast, until 2 o'clock in the morning.
Hey, Corallys, I'm seeing a video right now that somebody sent to us on Facebook, and it shows a tree coming down on their vehicle, and I think that's a story for a lot of people. She got it like on one of her ring cameras or something like that, and you can clearly see the tree coming down as that rush of wind made its way through Little Rock. We had wind gusts 68 miles per hour at Little Rock Airport, so yeah, we're going to have a big mess to clean up this evening and probably into tomorrow morning. But things are starting to quiet down somewhat across parts of the area. But with that said, we still have those severe thunderstorm warnings in effect just to our northwest. More storms are developing just to the north of Russellville. So these are primarily hailers, but still don't let your guard down because they are very high in the atmosphere, and you can get rush of wind as that storm begins to collapse. Here's the Hail Now tool to see if it's building in the hail core strength. Looks like it's maintaining its strength for the most part. We are still seeing the potential of quarter to ping pong ball size hail around Moreland, so that'll be headed towards, looks like, Robertsville and maybe Hattieville, just to the north of Atkins. But I'm not seeing any big hail cores like what we have been seeing over the past few hours, especially off to the north, Corral. So I'm going to see if I can go back over here. And I posted on our THV11 Facebook page, send pictures. And let me just go ahead and pull this up, and we can really see some pictures here. If we can go to Storm Track 11, here are just some of the pictures that we've been getting in. Look at that. That's quarter-size hail around Pottsville. We can take a look at some other pictures here because we've been getting reports of just some crazy-looking clouds. Here's an interesting cloud. Definitely shows you an ominous view of that storm approaching Augsburg earlier this afternoon. Supercell structure right there. That tells you it's about to let loose for the most part. Atkins, Happy Bend. There you see another large hailstone being held by that person. And we've been getting all your reports on this one post on the THV11 Facebook page. We appreciate it. Here you go, Crow Mountain, that's very close to Russellville. That photo is sent in by Dusty Norris. Dusty, thank you for sending that photo in to us. So if you go to our THV11 Facebook page, look for this post. You can post your video, you can post your hail pictures or your reports. Hate to see all this damage happening. We need a break from all this crazy weather, Corallys. And this is also issue with the front. Things will be quieter tomorrow, but it's still going to be hot. And all those folks that lost power this evening and this afternoon, hopefully they get power restored quickly as possible because it is going to be a rough night of sleeping. The temperature is only dropping down into the upper 60s, low 70s. We're back up into the low to mid 90s tomorrow. And then getting into the rest of the work week, we're going to see those numbers probably close in on 100 degrees by Thursday and Friday. But right now, our main priority is still this line of storms. It is still potent. It is still nasty, making its way through parts of central Arkansas. If you haven't seen storms just yet, don't be like, hey, we're not getting anything here in Dallas County, in Cleveland County, in Lincoln County, or even Hot Spring County. It's just to your north and is trying to build its way down to the south and southeast, and it could still pack quite a punch.
I think this is a good time now that we're just still waiting to see what they're going to do with the warnings as they're set to expire over the next 10 to 15 minutes. Just to do a quick recap of what we're expecting for the rest of the night and for just the upcoming week. As you mentioned, the heat is going to be sticking around with us for quite some time. Let's go ahead and switch right back over to our main weather. Thank you. This is what we have in terms of the severe weather watches, severe thunderstorm watches. That's not including southern portions here. This was just recently added on. This is until 2 o'clock in the morning. The rest of the area from parts of central and northern portions, that's until 10 o'clock. So this was just recently added as the storms continue to track towards the south. So this is what future radar is showing for us. It's going to continue on over the next hour or so, and although I do think we'll be lingering or holding on to some of those showers and storms here in central Arkansas within the next hour or so, things are going to slowly begin to diminish as they continue towards the south. We do expect a brief break in the activity later this evening for the northern half of the state. Still continuing to see the activity across southern portions. The radar has been having a hard time trying to exactly show what the weather story is. So this is the one that I do think has a better handle of what's going on compared to the other ones. But it is hinting that we could see additional development occur once again later tonight. This is at around 11 o'clock with another cluster of storms. Although I don't think they'll be nearly as intense as what we were dealing with earlier today, we could see an additional round push through southern half of the state later overnight as the slow moving boundary continues to push on through. And then we should be mostly quiet though statewide overnight, with just the exception of a few of those stray showers and storms to our south into your early morning hours, or even on Monday. Monday looking a lot better, plenty of sunshine. It's still going to be hot. We have a cold front pushing through. It's going to bring down the temperatures a little bit, bring down the humidity. It's still going to be hot though. Temperatures are going to be sitting in the mid 90s compared to today. 99 degrees was our high here in the metro, the hottest day so far of the year. And I mean, summer definitely is in full swing. Many locations across the state saw highs in the mid to upper 90s, and we could possibly make a run at 100 degrees later this week. Our afternoons ahead, as I mentioned, slightly cooler these next few days thanks to winds coming in more from the north ahead of that cold front pushing on through. But that's still pretty hot though, and well above our average or norm of around 90 degrees for this time of year. And as soon as we get towards the middle of the upcoming week, those temperatures are going to begin to climb back into the upper 90s and possibly 100 degrees on Wednesday. Thursday may be our hottest day of the week, with temperatures exceeding 100 degrees. That's what a lot of the models were kind of showing for us. And continuing on even into your Friday and even parts of next weekend, temperatures are expected to hold on into the 90s, upper 90s. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days at minimum of temperatures above 90 degrees is easily a heat wave expected for us, because whenever we have 3 days in a row or more of temperatures above 95 degrees, that's considered a heat wave. So seeing at least 5 days, it's going to be a hot week, which is not something we want to hear, because there's lots of folks right now without power. Our last check-in had over 130 customers without power across the state, and that's not something we want to hear. It's going to be very warm, very muggy tonight for a lot of folks who are probably going to wait until the power gets restored, and hopefully it gets restored fast enough over the span of the next few days before things really begin to heat on up. We're likely seeing the return of more heat advisories and possibly excessive heat warnings, especially by your Thursday, possibly your Friday, as temperatures exceed 100 degrees and the heat index values possibly exceed 110 degrees as well. So just a quick look at that extended forecast. We haven't seen it if you haven't checked at it earlier. Fortunately, weather-wise, it's going to be quiet. Not much in terms of severe weather activity. Not until possibly next weekend is our best chance of seeing some rain in the forecast. Slight chance Wednesday, but otherwise mainly a quiet week in store. Nathan.
Corallys, I'm just looking at what's happening with the environment right now, and there's still a lot of storm fuel into areas just down to our south of the line for the most part. So if you have not seen anything just yet, once again, don't let your guard down in Dallas County, in Cleveland County, in Lincoln County, because this line is trying to hold itself together, most likely will hold itself together as it marches its way down to the south and southeast. With this happening right now, we don't have anything but just primarily likely severe thunderstorms, not anything considerable and not anything destructive like what we saw before. And we don't have any real large hail at this time, but they did just issue, it looks like, a new severe thunderstorm warning for Jefferson County, Grant County, there you see Lincoln County, and also Cleveland County. That is a considerable severe thunderstorm warning. So that severe thunderstorm warning has been upgraded, and looks like this cell is trying to certainly increase in strength. Let's take a look at the hail with this. There is some hail about to approach Sheridan, Cane Creek, Belfast at this time. When we take a look at the query with how big that hail could be, it looks like it certainly could be ping pong to golf ball size hail is a possibility in that part of Grant County. When we take a look at the winds within this cell, because that has been really the most destructive thing that a lot of people have seen across the area, we do have, looks like a little core of winds moving through Walnut Ridge at this time, very close to Jefferson and Samples. So it's riding the line of Grant County and into Jefferson County of where these winds are now being produced by this. It looks like a supercell thunderstorm. Lots of lightning with that. That lightning has been coming up. So Pine Bluff, get ready. You could have some high winds of 60 to 70 miles per hour. That could bring down some tree limbs. That could bring down some trees. That could also produce widespread power outages for Grant County and also Jefferson County, as this cell has really started to get its act together and has continued to strengthen, making its way down to the south and southeast. Corallys, do you know how fast that's going? I can put a track on here if you are available to tell me that. Otherwise, I can just look on here.
It's moving towards
45 miles per hour,
yes,
southeast. So let's go ahead and put a track on there and let you folks know what's happening into Grant County, Jefferson County, and eventually into Lincoln and Cleveland counties of when this potential wall of wind will start to approach your area. I'm going to zoom out a little bit here because this is a little too tight with this. So let's go ahead and put on a new track, erase that one, and we'll just go ahead and do a new track here and extend it down into this part of the area. I think that's about 55 mile per hour is the speed. So there's a timeline for you, just a rough estimate. Rising by 7:44, Star City pretty close to 8 o'clock, and there's some other communities, Noble Lake, Carthage, White Oak Bluff. Certainly get ready to batten down the hatches. You've got a nasty storm heading your direction. At the least, you're going to see a lot of lightning, torrential rain, and some gusty winds, but those winds could be as high as 70, maybe 80 miles per hour if this continues to strengthen. So watch out for this as it makes its way into your neighborhood, moving through Jefferson County, Grant County, about to enter into Cleveland County and Lincoln County, and then it will continue to march its way towards Monticello and probably even into Bradley County. The last cell is about to exit Arkansas County. It really didn't reach too much of Deshay County, so they trimmed that severe thunderstorm warning back quite a bit and just included Dumas and Rosedale, also Kelso and Watson. But the strongest winds within that cell just to the northeast of Dumas, where you see that yellow. So primarily right along the border of Arkansas County, Monroe County, and now entering into Phillips County. Other cells we're watching into Pope County and Johnson County do have some winds, about probably 30, 40 miles per hour. But these cells right now are more of a potential hail. And when we take a look at the Hail Now tool to see if those hail cores have grown, they haven't. They've actually weakened. So that cell that was over Dover has weakened, probably just producing pea-sized hail, very close to Atkins at this time. So that's good news. Looks like that cell's ticking down somewhat. Still watching this one cell into Yell County that has minimal hail with it. So our biggest hail core at this time is right over Grant County, Sheridan, and it looks like that's increased a little bit, Corallys. I'm seeing some purple show up.
Yeah.
So now we're talking about
possible golf ball, maybe egg size.
Yeah, maybe egg size hail. So that cell is certainly ticking up just outside of downtown Sheridan. Sheridan, it is rocking and rolling for you folks. Lots of lightning, heavy rain, but believe it or not, the worst is just to the northeast of you, right along Highway 46, moving towards Walnut Ridge, and then this will be very close to Prague, and then probably Whitehall, and I think this will start to certainly be more directed towards the city of Pine Bluff. So Pine Bluff, get ready. Batten down the hatches. You've got a nasty storm headed in your direction, and the weather is going to be changing very rapidly for you folks. Thank you again for sending all your photos and videos into us, because you give us ground truth of what's happening in your neighborhood. We can look at the radar and we can give a good estimate of wind speeds or a good idea of what's happening, But until you send those photos and reports into us, we're still kind of flying a little bit blind. So thank you for all those storm damage reports and pictures. We hate to see it happening around the region. We have not gotten a break, it seems like, here in Central Arkansas for the past several months. But we're just in that situation. You got a front, hot air, humid air, smacking into one another. This is what you got.
I tell you, it's been a very interesting setup the past 3 weekends, including this one in a row, where we've had that threat for severe weather. Matter of fact, I think this is the third weekend where we've seen a tornado-warned storm at least. So it's been a very interesting weather pattern for sure. Fortunately, all we're seeing are just severe thunderstorm warnings. Some of them are expected to expire or be continued in just another minute or so. We'll start to see adjustments to that map. Still seeing either shades of the orange or the purple, and it just gives us an indication of the type of storm that we're seeing. As we've been mentioning, the main threat with a lot of these storms had started off with large hail earlier this afternoon, and into the evening hours as they continued to push further south, they kind of developed into more of a destructive kind of damaging wind threat, where we've seen reports here in Little Rock Airport at 69-mile-per-hour wind gusts or even higher in some locations.
Yeah, and we're trying to look at the comments coming on the THV11 Facebook page. We can't look at everybody's comment. We can't answer all the comments because we're looking at the National Weather Service chat. We're looking at other radar data. We're looking at the regular radar data. So we're not trying to ignore anybody. We're trying to give everybody a good outlook on what you can expect in your area. If we're not talking about your area at this time, then most likely you don't have to be concerned about severe weather. We're going to give you another radar tour in just the next minute or so, but once again, we see your comments. We can't respond to all of them because we got a lot going on, and it's certainly a multitask event to give you as much relevant information as possible, because we're also looking at pictures, we're looking at videos, so we need to be like an octopus and have like 8 arms to do all this.
Absolutely, yes. So now that we're at 7:30, as you noticed, a few of those warnings have since dropped off. We still have that one warning for parts of Conway, Johnson, Logan, Pope counties there. That's until 8:15. That particular storm is moving, let me just go ahead and get that information, moving towards the southeast at about 30 miles per hour. It's kind of hasn't been moving a whole lot. It's just kind of been hovering around that section of Interstate 40. Not making for the best driving weather. Lots of lightning with that. Some wind, some gusty winds, not nearly as high, maybe up to 30 mile per hour wind gust, and some hail has been reported, some large hail, up to ping pong size as well. I'm wondering whether or not it's still holding on to that, the hail being reported there.
I was pulling up iDrive Arkansas to see if we could see anything happening, but we'll take a look at the hail, and then also we go to Storm Track 11. This is from iDrive Arkansas on Interstate 40. Lots of heavy rain. The winds are moving the trees around a little bit, but certainly nothing severe-wise when we take a look at the winds. Lots of lightning, though, so certainly a slow go in that part of Pope County, around Russellville. That's the camera very close to Russellville. Let's see if we can go a little bit more off to the west and see what's happening around Lake Dardanelle. Certainly lots of heavy rain. I'm not seeing any hail. And when we go towards Johnson County, around Clarksville, here's the view of Clarksville, more of the same. Not too much wind. Looks like the rain has slackened up a little bit. So we can go back over to Max now, please. And here are the hail cores that we're looking at. So that hail core that was over Dover has certainly weakened. No surprise, because it's already rained here in Pope County. So yes, the storm fired up real quick, but it ran to an environment that a lot of the juice has already been used up into Pope County, into Conway County. So I really think the severe weather threat, if it's going to be north in the Ozarks, it's going to be building its way off to the west more, probably more Johnson County, more Franklin County, Logan County, Yell County, because these areas still have a lot of storm fuel in place. But Pope County, you've already got hit. So you've used a lot of your fuel, so these storms really can't last very long in terms of severe weather-wise, but still some heavy rain, and there still could be flash flooding issues, because if you have cells that just don't move much at all and produce a quick inch of rain in 15, 30 minutes, and then that cell just sits over you for an hour or so, yeah, you can get a few inches of rain very easy in this type of environment. The main concern that we're still watching is this cell moving through Grant County, Jefferson County, Cleveland County, and Lincoln County. That is the cell that still has a lot of lightning with it, torrential downpours, potential of some high winds developing, and also when we take a look at the latest with the Hail Now tool, it was showing a significant hail core, and it's still showing a significant hail core just to the northeast of Sheridan. So there you see Walnut Ridge. It's going to be moving towards Whitehall, pretty close to Redfield. So Interstate 530, I'm going to go ahead and pull that camera up in advance, and we'll see what happens here along Interstate 530 as that cell makes its way across that area. So we don't have to pull that up right now, but I just want to give it a look before that storm moves over, because right now it's just a lot of dark skies in that part of the area. When we take a look at the radar, I'm going to take off the lightning and we'll take a look at what's happening here where those darker reds are. That's where you're seeing certainly some very heavy rainfall, but also that potential of hail, where those darker reds are showing up right over Walnut Ridge. Looking at the winds within this cell, they are starting to pick up. Looks like the winds are starting to pick up into the Whitehall area. And this is winds of probably 40, maybe 50 miles per hour, I'm guessing, or okay, let's go with 60 to 70 mile per hour winds. Now, this is still maybe above the surface, but the winds are starting to get pretty gusty in this part of Jefferson County. That is right through Whitehall, so seeing some gusty winds. It could be 60, 75 mile per hour winds, maybe even 80 mile per hour winds, now about to move into Pine Bluff. So you're under that severe thunderstorm warning. It is a considerable severe thunderstorm warning for that potential of not only large hail, 1.5 inches to maybe as much as 2 inches in some cases, but also you could see winds of 70 to possibly 80 miles per hour moving through Pine Bluff, moving through Whitehall. Stay away from windows, stay indoors until this storm passes. When we take a look what's happening for the rest of the area, because things have really started to quiet down here in Pulaski County for the most part, but we still have a band of showers and storms moving through southern parts of Faulkner County. Still quite a bit of lightning with this, and remember, a storm does not need to be severe to produce a deadly lightning strike. So you don't want to be outside cleaning up storm debris until all this activity moves out. You can still get struck by lightning even if it's not a severe thunderstorm. Any storm can produce lightning that can travel 5 to 10 miles away from the rain. So just because it's not raining, you're thinking it's safe. Nope, I would stay inside until this activity starts to wind down. And that may be a few hours before things start to quiet down here, even in the metro. We've lost that severe thunderstorm warning for some areas now, for Yell County, for Saline County, for Garland County. Those severe thunderstorm warnings have been dropped. These cells are still producing a lot of lightning, but according to the National Weather Service, we're not seeing winds 58 miles per hour or greater, and we're not seeing hail quarter size or greater. So that's why they've been allowed to cancel those severe thunderstorm warnings. So we just have the one moving through Pope County, extending into Conway County, and that's just playing it safe because there was hail earlier, but that I don't think will last too long. When we take a look at the winds don't look too significant with this. We'll just query some of the winds here, and the winds are about 40 to maybe as high as 45 miles per hour. So that storm looks like it's trying to weaken somewhat. We'll keep a close eye on it. But by far, the worst storm in the entire THV11 viewing area is now affecting you folks in Jefferson County and also eastern parts of Grant County, about to move into Lincoln County. So heads up Star City, heads up Terry, Yorktown, Glendale, Randall, Calmer, because the weather is about to go downhill very quickly. As the storm marches in your direction, you could see some very heavy rainfall, or will likely see very heavy rainfall, lots of lightning, and the potential of winds of 60 to maybe as high as 80 miles per hour. Corrales, you're pulling up the power outage map, which continues to change and it's not in the right direction.
Yeah, so I just kind of been tracking what's the latest in terms of the outages, and with our latest check-in, almost 144,000 customers are without power across the state. I think this is the highest I've seen it in quite some time in terms of at least all the rounds of severe weather we've had so far over the last few weeks. 144,000 customers, and that's as of 6/26. So we'll likely see an increase to those numbers as the storms continue to trek on through. Let's see if we're able to highlight a few counties, how many customers are being impacted in some of the counties. Right now, with the storms moving into Arkansas, there's about 3,400 without power over in Arkansas County. Jefferson County, 5,300 customers without power. Here in Pulaski, a little bit over 54,000 in Pulaski County without power. In Roanoke, a little bit over 32,600 customers
That's
without
almost
power.
most of the county.
That's a good amount.
I mean, that's like 80% of the county of Roanoke without power.
Yeah, and it's following that same general direction where some of the strongest storms are that are producing those really gusty winds right now. And that even also includes parts of north, central, northeast Arkansas. So 143, just under 144,000 customers across the state without power at the moment. Not something we want to hear, especially in some of the hottest stretches of weather we're going to be dealing with over the span of the next few days. Tonight it's going to be very muggy on top of that as well. If we can go over to our Max 1, we can look at maybe some of the storm reports that we've had across the state.
And we got a new severe thunderstorm warning.
Okay, that one is for parts of Garland, Montgomery, Perry, Saline, and Yell until 8:45. If you guys are able to pop me up on the radar real quick so we can go ahead and just talk about it. This one is, again, in effect until 8:45. This particular storm, I'm just pulling up some information on it, is moving towards the south and east at about 35 miles per hour. So I know we mentioned it wasn't not much going on with that storm. The hail wasn't nearly as large with that, but it'll be interesting to see what the hail looks like within the storm right now. If it's producing any large hail with it or any gusty winds there, Nathan.
1 second here. Let's take a look at the winds and a little bit of wind. Let's see what
Probably
the hail is showing.
The hail is not as nearly as impressive, quarter size hail. I think it's just your standard severe thunderstorm warning with this one, where you could potentially see hail up to quarter size and maybe gusty winds in excess of 58 miles per hour. Again, this is moving towards the south and east at about 35 miles per hour. It's creeping up on you, Allie. It's right at the edge of there of Gray Valley, Jessieville. A little bit of a closer look. Thank you there, Nathan. Right at your doorstep, Onyx, the community of Steve. You guys are probably dealing with plenty of rain, lots of lightning over in the area. It's impacting areas like Highway 27 near Highway 7 as well, just to the north of 298. That's moving further towards the south. Still, it's just to your north in Jessieville, Hot Springs Village. But again, some of that lightning might kind of branch off from the main storm itself. So if you see it coming in the distance and you're still outdoors, definitely head inside. Fountain Lake, you guys, still just to your north. Same thing with Mountain Pine. Lake Washita State Park, it's still just to your north. I know we've been talking about some of the storms are slowly creeping on in. It looks like this one will eventually near the area within the next 15, maybe 30 minutes. Again, this warning is still in effect until 8:45 as it continues to track towards the southeast at 35 miles per hour.
Yeah, Corallys, we're still watching that one cell moving through Jefferson County, Grant County, still affecting folks in Pine Bluff with some very gusty winds, high winds at times of 60, maybe as high as 70 miles per hour, a lot of lightning. That is a considerable severe thunderstorm warning for that potential of 70 mile per hour winds or greater. And then also we were watching the potential of some large hail, maybe the size of golf balls or even egg size hail. That hail core has come down significantly over the past few scans. So that is some good news, but the winds, they're still there. It is a wind machine moving through Jefferson County right now. The trees are dancing. We probably have some tree limbs coming down, maybe have some trees coming down on power lines, hopefully not on homes, not on vehicles, but that certainly has been the case across parts of the metro out there through the course of the evening. Let's go ahead and rewind this and just show you how this all came together earlier today, because it was a very quick evolving event. Now the thing is, when we go back too far, 2 o'clock, the National Weather Service radar was down. It came back about 4 o'clock. So they were using the Fort Smith radar, but there you see those storms that just exploded over the Ozarks and then made their way down to the south and southeast, eventually moved through Little Rock very close to 5:30, 6 o'clock. But look at all that lightning. When you see lightning like that, that tells you that we've got a lot of stuff happening within the storm. These storms are very high, 50 to 55,000 feet, producing hail, the raindrops, all the winds within the storm cell, making those raindrops and hailstones collide, producing those static charges, and that's why you just get this vivid display of lightning, consistent cloud to ground lightning. Now, that severe thunderstorm warning that was in effect for Jefferson County, Lincoln, Cleveland, and Grant counties has been downgraded from a considerable severe thunderstorm warning to a likely severe thunderstorm. It's still producing some winds, but looks like it's not producing those extreme winds of 70 miles per hour or greater. And it's not producing the hail size of 1 3/4 inches or greater. So hopefully this cell is coming down somewhat as it approaches Rising, as it approaches Star City and Grady. Don't let your guard down though. It's still going to be gusty winds. It's still going to be ugly weather heading in your direction very shortly in that part of Cleveland County and Lincoln County. We had that severe thunderstorm warning in effect for Garland County. Hot Springs, get ready because those storms are headed in your direction and they could be severe. Probably producing some gusty winds, at least 50, maybe as high as 60 miles per hour. And then we still had that band of storms riding right along Interstate 40, stretching from Conway for the most part all the way through Clarksville. So it is certainly a slow go on Interstate 40 as you head off to the west. Off to the northeast, things have really quieted down. White County, Cleveland County, Van Buren County, Independence County, Jackson County, Stone County, Izard County. You're in a stable atmosphere now. You're done, I think, with the threat of storms even for the most part. But just on the tail edge of where the very warm, moist air is slamming against this stable air, that's where we have the storm still initiating into Yell County, parts of Pope County, eventually into Logan County. And I think this will continue to build its way off to the west. So expect the chance of storms in Montgomery County, into Pike County, Clark County, and Hot Spring County as the evening progresses along. We're going to continue to watch things very closely, but I think Corallys, now that we don't have anything but just likely severe thunderstorms, we don't have considerable severe thunderstorm warnings, and we don't have destructive severe thunderstorm warnings, we will go ahead, take a break, watch the radar very closely, go ahead and get a drink of water if you want, and we'll continue to monitor things very closely. This is not a tornado situation. This is primarily a damaging wind threat, but these storms have been producing some damage across the area. We've been getting reports and videos of trees down on homes, trees down on vehicles. It's going to be a big cleanup for some folks, and even some folks that were affected by the March 31st tornado will have to clean up from this.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's still going to be a pretty long evening. Of course, we're going to continue to provide you guys updates. If something does happen, of course, we will tune in on air as well. But our next weather update should be coming up at our 10 o'clock show as well. So, of course, and if you have any reports or anything you want to share with us, 501-376-1111.
Thanks for watching, and we will keep you alert if anything else breaks in. Go ahead and share this with your friends and family. And once again, reports, pictures, videos, we love to get them. You can post them on our THV11 Facebook page or 501-376-1111. I'm meteorologist Nathan Scott, and for meteorologist Corallys Ortiz, have a great night and stay safe and stay alert.